Good evening, and thanks for keeping a date with us on the program Transforming Agriculture in Nigeria. I'm your regular guide, Gabriel Ojile. Ensuring availability of food all year round goes beyond cultivation. It includes the ability of a nation to provide good storage facilities for continuous circulation, market regulation, and for emergency. In this episode of the program, we shall be discussing the impact of food and strategic reserve in ensuring food security in Nigeria. But before then, we have some news stories of the activities of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development. Keep watching.
What we did here is mechanized.
It's back to land, back to agriculture.
I can supply the milk factories for milk.
That's the new norm for employment and for wealth creation. Get your piece of the action.
Before farming, we will spread the manure.
There to take on agribusiness.
They have been working in terms of making sure they give us new breeds.
Seize the opportunity you have been waiting for. Watch Transforming Agriculture in Nigeria, showing every Friday at 8:30 p.m. on the NTA network service.
In our diary tonight, Agri Minister inaugurates Implementation Committee on ARCN Amended Act. Also, Chinese Ambassador seeks collaboration with Agri Minister on projects in Nigeria. The Honorable Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Mohammed Mahmoud Abubakar, recently inaugurated a 6-man committee to work on the implementation of the Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria Amended Act.
Executive management layer.
The minister stated that the objective of the ARCN Amended Act is to reposition the council and its affiliate research institutes and agricultural colleges for better performance and ensure impactful research and development of the country. Mahmoud therefore charged the committee to work assiduously to develop a roadmap for the implementation of the ARCN Amended Act, among other responsibilities.
Identify, assess, and recommend competent individuals who can serve in the council in line with the provisions of the Amended Act. 3. Identify the salient issues in the new Act with the aim of implementation and articulate and identify funding windows that could be explored in the implementation of the ARCN Amended Act.
Also speaking during the inauguration, the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry, Ernest Afolabi Mahihe, urged the members of the committee to work dispassionately to actualize the set objectives of the committee.
This is a committee of seasoned professionals in the academia, administration, and technical expertise. This will bring to bear in this assignment. Accordingly, I urge members of this committee to be dispassionate in aligning your decisions with the salient content of the amendment ARCN Act.
The chairman of the committee, Baba Yusuf Abubakar, on behalf of members of the committee, assured the Honorable Minister that they will deliver on the task given to them.
Honorable Minister, I want to reiterate our commitment to delivering this assignment to the best of our abilities. We really have no choice but to appropriately guide the repositioning of ARCN to emerge as a strong, effective, and efficient organization in order to drive agricultural research in Nigeria.
The government of the People's Republic of China has expressed a desire to carry out 3 pilot projects in the Nigerian agricultural sector. The Chinese ambassador to Nigeria, Kui Jia-chung, disclosed this during his visit to the Honorable Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development to seek for the minister's collaboration. Ambassador Jia-chung stated that the Chinese government is interested in producing nutritional grass for animals, growing of mushrooms for traditional medicine, as well as demonstration of nuclear radiation technology that could be used to sanitize farms against pests and diseases, and would therefore need the cooperation of the Nigerian government to get the land for the projects.
This is not for commercial, this is demonstration to educate people in the future. If you want to grow grass, come here. We can train you how to grow the grass. You can use your own land. For example, for the farmer, we can provide service. This is our service from agriculture, from the presidency, from the top-ranking organizations and the ranking officials to support the general public, to give them jobs, to give them income. This is the original idea.
Responding to the request of the ambassador, the Honorable Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Mohammed Abubakar, assured the Chinese government of maximum cooperation towards establishing the 3 projects in Nigeria for the growth of the agricultural sector, job creation, and the nation's economy at large.
You talked about using nuclear radiation for sanitizing crops. Yes, sometimes over-chemicalization can cause issues. So the same thing here, with radiation to burn any pathogens instead of using pesticide is a welcome idea and welcome technology. And I think we'll also be very much interested in that.
Also speaking during the visit, the technical assistant on Presidential Youth Employment Scheme, Aminu Ishaku, stated that the projects will see the light of the day beyond the pilot projects due to their potentials of creating jobs for the teeming youths in the country.
Agriculture is the key. We have to agree that if we want to generate or create jobs in Nigeria, government cannot provide jobs, but government can provide an enabling environment to create jobs.
Federal and state governments play significant roles in ensuring that Nigeria is adequately prepared to make food available to her citizens during emergencies, famine, price stabilization, and a host of other reasons. How is this done, and what is the mechanism put in place to see to it that the nation plays this important role? In our next segment, Record of the FDA, we shall be examining the role of Food and Strategic Reserve Department of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development and the entire process of providing strategic food reserve for the country. Keep watching.
The Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development is charged with the responsibility of ensuring food production and rural development across the states of the Federation. As a result of massive production and the need to prevent post-harvest losses and to have food reserves in Nigeria, the government of the Western region in 1957 embarked on building of storage facilities to support farmers to store excess grains during the immediate post-harvest periods of low prices and sell them back to the market during periods of rising prices. Although public support was provided, the food reserves were owned and managed by the farmers in the pre-independent era. Subsequently, the National Agricultural Food Storage Program was launched in 1987 in response to the need for greater capacity of food storage across the nation and to respond to food security challenges during disasters. The Public Food Reserve System is a three-tier program which includes Silo, which is food strategic reserves operated by the federal government, the Buffer Stock Program operated at the state level, and on-farm storage operated at the local government level. The Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, in carrying out its mandate of ensuring availability of food in Nigeria at the federal level, has a Food and Strategic Reserve Department, which has its office at the National Agricultural Insurance Corporation Headquarters Building at Plot 590, Central Area, Garki, Abuja. The Food and Strategic Reserve Department of the Ministry has a mandate to construct and manage silo complexes, refrigerate storage warehouses, establish grain aggregation centers, build community warehouses and warehouse receipt operation, grain stock management, and stabilize food prices, among others.
The core mandates of these departments are: 1, for the department to act as first sign of emergency relief in terms of disaster. Secondly, we are to maintain the storage facilities, also construct the storage facilities as well.
In carrying out the mandate of this department, it has operational silos in different states of the Federation, which include 25,000 metric tons capacity silo each in Benue, Gombe, Jigawa, Niger, Cross River, Kaduna, Edo, Ebonyi, Kebbi, Kwara, and Osun. There are other silos facilities located in Adamawa, Abuja, among others.
The Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development was given the responsibilities to carry out the strategic food reserve component of the storage program. And this sincerely accounts for 5% of the total annual production. Then we have also the buffer stock, which also accounts for 10% of the total production, which of course is to be handled by the state. And we have 85% that is expected to be handled by the private sector. In carrying out all these enumerated responsibilities, federal government embarked on the construction of 33 silos complexes nationwide. And these, when they are all fully completed, will be having 1.3 million metric tons storage space.
One of the essences of building a silo in any country such as Nigeria is to ensure availability of food during emergencies. In 2020, during the COVID-19 pandemic lockdown across all the 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory, the federal government, through the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, had cause to intervene by releasing grains from its strategic grains reserves.
I will tell you that yes, Mr. President graciously approved 70,000 metric tons of assorted food commodities from the National Reserve to Nigerians to cushion the effect of pandemic. And this was released from our operational silos. And I tell you that the 70,000 metric tons of these assorted food commodities account for 2,333 trailer loads of food items. And this was distributed around the whole country to the vulnerable Nigerians.
The 25,000 metric tons capacity silo in Zamfara State was one of the federal government silos that contributed to the food distributed during the COVID-19 lockdown.
We have two types of food commodity in this site. One is sorghum, the other one is maize. So far, for sorghum, we've released 13,987.91 metric tons, getting adequate support from our headquarters. They've been giving us the necessary logistics that will make this job go smooth.
Another silo that contributed greatly during the COVID-19 lockdown and release of food from the Strategic Food Reserve is the federal government silo in Yola, Adamawa State.
This silo, Yola silo, has released maize 9,945.34 metric tons, equivalent to 21,930 bags. Equally, we have released sorghum of 119.32 metric tons of sorghum, equivalent to 71,592 bags to the public.
Aside the COVID-19 food intervention during the lockdown, the federal government, through the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, relies on the Food and Strategic Reserve to provide food items to victims of flood, drought, insecurity, and other humanitarian crises within and outside the country.
In fact, in 2012, WFP through WFP got some grains from Nigeria, about 50,000 metric tons, because they were actually, I think, issue of drought in Niger and Chad. And WFP, they were interested in getting grain across to, we delivered about 50,000 metric tons of grain from Nigeria to Chad and Niger. And even within the period, it didn't affect in any way the local prices of those food commodities.
The federal government, through the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, has strategic food reserves not only for emergency and famine, but also to ensure that farmers are not producing at a loss.
You will recall that in 2018, there was bumper harvest in this country, to a point that the selling cost or the selling price of maize, for example, was far, far below the production cost. And what government is supposed to do in that case is to intervene, to support the farmers so that they will not quit farming business. And in doing so, government came in, was able to buy off this produce from the farmers at a marginal profit over and above the production cost.
The Food and Strategic Reserve Department of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development also ensures that the middlemen do not exploit the citizens by unnecessary hiking of food prices. This department ensures adequate supply of foodstuff into the Nigerian market to stabilize food price for average Nigerians.
Our major responsibility is to ensure that, yes, once the prices of food commodities are actually skyrocketing, going up, it is our responsibility to seek presidential approval to see area of intervention.
This is the silo complex of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development in Kwali Area Council of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. There are 20 silo cells with the capacity to store 100,000 metric tons of assorted crops and grains. The silo complexes are like a food bank for the nation and the first-line food relief during emergency. Crops like corn, beans, sorghum, millet, paddy rice, and other food commodities kept in silos are properly examined in the laboratory to ensure that they are safe for storage and consumption.
Before foods are accepted into the silo complex, we always checking for the quality to make sure it meets up with our standard. So, but the other aspect I spoke about, weighing, you need to know whether you are keeping 2 metric tons or 1. So, and in that way, it helps in accountability. So, and if at the end of the day, the parameters meets up with our set standard, so those food items will be accepted.
Once laboratory analyses are done, the truck is weighed on a weigh bridge to ascertain the quantity of food commodity before it is moved to the intake pit. The activities of the silos are not done manually, but with the help of technologies that are controlled from the motor control center.
From here, you can engage the conveyor of the intake pit. You can say start work, stop by a press of a button. So from here you can say take the grains to point B. From here you can say cleaner, commence cleaning immediately. From here you can say cleaner, I want you to shut down. So from here you can really direct. And one other important thing is that these food items, there are so many pathways, possible ways you could move them depending on what you want to achieve. I can say I want this gate to open. When the food gets there, it's going to drop. If I close the gate, it's not going to pass. It's going to take another gate that I will be open. So through that way, you can actually accomplish anything you want to do.
The program is Transforming Agriculture in Nigeria, and we have been looking at the efforts of the government in ensuring strategic food reserve for the nation. Although government is doing everything possible to have more capacity of food reserve for the nation, it however needs to partner with the private sector to do more in this area. In our next segment, Partnership for Development, we are focusing on the level of partnership between the ministry, state government and private sector in silo operation, another level of storage to ensure availability of food at all times. Keep watching.
Although silos are not built by the government to make profit but for the system to work better, the federal government has concessioned some of the silos to the private sector to manage. Under this arrangement, government is expected to generate 18 billion naira in 10 years, after which the silos are returned to government in their functional states.
Based on the global practice all over the world, government's responsibility is to create an enabling environment for the private sector to inject its fund to make the system operational. In achieving this, Mr. President graciously approved for the concessioning of 17 out of the 33 silo complexes to the private sectors. And concessioning does not mean outright sales. They are not being leased out. But however, these silos were concessioned for a period of 10 years. And there is an agreement that is binding both the private sector and the government.
Aside construction of silos, the federal government also supports farmers with other storage facilities at the local level.
We went also into construction of community warehouses. These are all programs of government at the community market to ensure that when farmers bring their products or produce to the market, they will have a place to store them, pending when the off-takers will come. It's also a beautiful program of government. And lastly, government also went into the establishment of the grain aggregation centers. Grain aggregation centers, these are centers whereby within clusters of farmers, you have this grain aggregation stated among the farmers that they will be able to bring in their farm harvest products to be dried, clean, and ensure that they are properly graded, that will be able to meet international standards.
The local government is also expected to support the storage policy of government at the on-farm level by building storage facilities for the farmers and agribusinesses within their localities. Similarly, the state governments also need to intensify effort in promoting the buffer stock program of the storage system.
The buffer stock, this is a program, a storage program that is dedicated to the state alone to support the activities of what federal government is doing. So that in terms of disaster, in terms of emergency, a state should be able to say, look, I have so quantity of food items to release to the states, to the indigents of a particular state.
Ensuring food security is serious business, involving everyone. As government makes efforts to ensure large capacity of food storage, citizens at their individual level are to plan for the rainy day by having some form of food storage for their families.
The government has laid a good example. People should be able to adopt government way of doing things. Because when you look at, government cannot serve all the communities. These silos that we are talking about, they are centralized in cities. Like in Kaduna, now when you get there, their own is before you get to the main, you see them where they are located. And then they go about aggregating from before they put it there. I think as an individual, I do it myself. I buy, I keep in the store. Keeping in the store, opportunity can come, I can sell. Opportunity can come, but I know that at least I am food secure in this area, in my house. So it is not something that people should shy away from if one has the capacity to do. It's a good way of managing oneself.
Ensuring food reserves is a vital aspect of food security, and it requires the support of governments at all levels, agribusiness stakeholders and individual farmers, as well as families. With your support investment in storage and food reserve, we can fight hunger to a standstill. Thanks for investing your time in watching the program, Transforming Agriculture in Nigeria. Join us again, same time, same station next week for another episode of the program. Have a great weekend and bye for now.